The 4030 Retro Compressor plugin by McDSP, along with the rest of the RetroPack plugin product line, is a unique design based on decades of McDSP engineering experience. Both visually and sonically, the RetroPack plugins deliver an incomparable vintage gear experience. They also include a customized output stage that puts a unique transformer-like touch on the audio signal. The 4030 is a dynamic range control topology, coupled with a wet-dry mix feature to balance compressed and uncompressed signals, and an active attack and release design that allows for aggressive compression settings with minimal artifact generation. The 4030 also comes with standard compression features, such as threshold, ratio, attack, release, and makeup gain knobs, metering for gain reduction, input level, and output level, and key and listen buttons that make working with a sidechain input simple and intuitive. Let's check out these features in more detail, and then hear what the 4030 can do for your mixes. Starting at the top left corner of the 4030's UI are the threshold and ratio controls. Threshold designates the signal level at which compression starts, while ratio is a continuous control that allows for precise adjustments of the compression amount. Ratio can be dialed in as low as 2:1 or as high as 20:1 for aggressive compression or limiting situations. Below those parameters are the attack and release controls that adjust the 4030's active attack and release design. Attack determines the rate at which compression action starts and has a range of 0.1 milliseconds to 10 milliseconds. Release determines the rate at which compression action recovers and has a range of 100 milliseconds to 1000 milliseconds. The 4030 attack and release are part of a signal-dependent system that analyzes the input signal at all times to reduce artifact generation. The 4030 is always making subtle adjustments behind the scenes to reduce or remove compression artifacts, especially at high gain reduction values, leaving you with everything you do want and nothing you don't. The final two knobs on the UI are the gain and mix knobs. Gain is the amount of signal gain applied post-compression, while mix determines the balance between compressed and uncompressed signals. The mix feature allows the 4030 to be very useful in parallel compression situations by eliminating the need for extra routing or additional track creation. Underneath the mix control in the center of the plugin are the sidechain and listen buttons. Clicking on the sidechain button, which is labeled as SC, will tell the 4030 to use the sidechain input as the compression key, as opposed to the input signal it uses by default. Listen can be used to audition the signal being used to trigger the compressor, be it the compressor's input signal or the sidechain input. Last up on the 4030 UI is the gain reduction meter immediately to the right of the sidechain controls, which is adjacent to the plugin's input and output meters. Now onto some examples. First up is a drum bus. Let's hear what it sounds like before any processing from the 4030 Retro Compressor. Notice how the kick and snare sound particularly disconnected from the rest of the kit. They also don't sound very tight or punchy. Let's fix that with the 4030. I've dialed in a slow attack, a fast release, and a 4:1 ratio. Listen to the way the kick and snare get tucked into place and glued together when the 4030 is engaged. You'll also notice some more movement and sustain in the cymbals that wasn't there before. Let's experiment with the mix control to blend some of the uncompressed signal back into this drum bus and make it sound a little bit less extreme. These drums are sounding a lot more cohesive, punchy, and glued together now. Next is a very dynamic lead vocal track. its levels vary quite a bit from line to line. Here's what it sounds like with the 4030 bypassed.
I'm the one you've been searching for, the only one that's gonna give you more. Call my name, that's all you gotta do, so I believe it, it's only you.
Now we'll engage the 4030, which is set up with its fastest release time, slowest attack time, and a 4-to-1 ratio. Pay attention to how the vocal becomes much more dynamically consistent, all without sounding unnatural at high gain reduction values when the vocalist sings louder. Initial consonant and vowel sounds also start to pop a bit more with the 4030 engaged.
I'm the one you've been searching for, the only one that's gonna give you more. Call my name, that's all you gotta do, so I believe it, it's only you. I'm the one you've been searching for, the only one that's gonna give you more. Call my name, that's all you gotta do, so I believe it, it's only you.
Finally, we have the 4030 Retro Compressor being used on a bass guitar track. Here's what it sounds like without processing from the plugin. This time, we have a medium attack time, fast release time, and a 4-to-1 ratio. The biggest thing worth noticing, though, is the extreme gain reduction values we're reaching. We get all the way up to around 30 dB of gain reduction, but thanks to the 4030's active attack and release design, the bass guitar's low end doesn't falter and start to sound distorted or weak. Instead, its dynamics are reined in and some pick attack is being brought out a bit more. The 4030 Retro Compressor by McDSP makes both light and aggressive artifact-free compression possible. Even at extreme gain reduction values, the 4030 will leave you with tracks that sound perfectly natural, but are more dynamically controlled in all the right ways. Interested in learning more? Try out the 4030 Retro Compressor free 14-day trial at the link in the description. It can be purchased on its own, and it is also included in the All Access subscription, as well as the Everything Pack and Retro Pack plugin bundles. We've linked all of these options in the description as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more McDSP tips and content. Also, feel free to use the links in the description to follow us on other social media platforms. We will see you next time.